Welcome back to the Hive. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Ashlee, and you're listening to Live in the Hive. This is episode 2. You're going to notice a little something different today. We are going to be in some different clothing for the official episode. We had some technical difficulties.
It's our second episode, you guys, and we are just, ironing out the kinks and trying to figure out what works best for us. And one thing that we learned works best is when you have storage and when you charge your phones. So bear with us as we figure all of these things out. But on our last episode, stuff happened and we lost a lot of footage. So it's going to look a little weird, but the content is still there. Just work with us, give us some grace, and we're figuring it out. And it's all part of our...
It's part of the plan, baby. It's part of the plan, God's plan. Gus, it's all part of it. And this next episode, for episode 3, which we'll be shooting this week, later this week, we will have someone with us that's going to help us. Paris Isaac, he's been doing our editing, so he'll be with us. He's going to help us set up and work out some kinks. So it should be the last time that it happens. However, shit happens. That's the whole
it's part of the journey.
It's part of the journey.
It's you. This is how you learn and you grow. 100%. And we could have taken the episode out and refilmed it, but I feel like that's doing a disservice to what we stand for.
Yeah.
And taking you guys along through all the ups and the downs. And so this is not necessarily a down, I don't think. I think that it was still a really great episode. It's more of like
it was a good episode.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and there's a lot of really great content. So, for most, we got most of the content, and you guys will see towards the end, we lose some camera angles. However, the content will still roll. We're going to have at least an hour of content for you guys. And then at the end, we'll come back on and do a little outro for you and, wrap it up succinctly. So we appreciate you guys. And without further ado, here's episode 2. So we both were getting ready today and talking about what today's episode was going to be about. And in the true nature of flying by the seat of our pants, like we like to do, we both had the same idea to talk today about New Year's. And for me, I want to talk about resolutions. I think that's
I was going to ask you what your resolution was.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I don't actually have resolutions, so we'll talk about that. And also the power, I think, of the new year, why it's powerful and why people give a shit, why does the new year mean anything short of the start of another calendar, right?
You know what I've heard?
What have you heard?
When people say, okay, I'm going to go on a diet, but I'm going to start on Monday. It's Wednesday, right? I'm going to start on Monday. And it's like, well, why not just start on Wednesday? You decide to go on a diet today, just start today.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we're going to start on Monday.
So, it's an excuse, right?
Okay.
What else is there? Right? It's a fucking excuse. It's we call it being ready to be ready to be ready. Right? So you're constantly being ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. Well, and we also talk about, have, do, be. Once I have, then I can do, and then I can be, right? So if I have the time, then I can, do the thing, and then I can be happy, right? So if I have the time and energy, I can, do my workout, I can go to the gym, and then I can be happy, right? So there's this I have to have something before I can be something. Energy about starting on Monday, right? It's well, on Monday I'll have this new energy, and it'll be a new week, and then I'll be ready. And it's well, okay, so you're not ready now to just get your ass to the gym.
If your idea was today, you might as well just start.
And I think there's a lot of that. We practice that a lot in our society.
Yeah, I do that all the time. This is why I have yet to go to the gym.
We do that with everything, really. We do that with birthdays, right? Well, I'll ask for it on my birthday. With money, with things. We talked about saving, I'll buy the house when I save the money when I do that. Obviously, there's some validity to that. However, there's also this energy of being ready to be ready to be ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to get ready so that when I'm ready, I'm ready. It's well, you're never really going to be ready, getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready, I'm definitely a culprit of the starting on Monday energy. I do it often. Um, I think a good way to like alleviate that is to um give yourself a window, give yourself sectioned goals, right? So like if I'm going to go to the gym, maybe it doesn't need to be on Monday. However, I'm going to commit to going to the gym 3 days this week, you know. And then that way you can start whenever you want. So even if it's Tuesday, you can start and say, okay, well now I've gotten a day, right? One day down. And you can work from there versus I'm going to start Monday and I'm going to go 7 days a week, or I'm going to go 5 days a week. And it's going to be during, the weekdays. And it's like when we restrict ourselves, we restrict our capacity to fail, which sucks, because then we fail and we were failing before. So if I'm going to fail anyway, why would I even start? Right? I think we set ourselves up to fail. What do you do that with money things? Gym. You already said the gym.
Yes. Also, I need to fix your hair. It's bugging me.
Fix it. Fix me. So this is Wendy. She's my co-host, actually probably the moderator, also the Meister of Fun, Master of Fun, Fun Meister, Fun Haver, and Hair Lady. She also, on occasion, will do my makeup. She sings, she
Makeup
dances, she does it all.
It was really bothering me, and I couldn't even hear what you were saying.
Am I good?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Looking fancy now.
Let's start from the beginning. Hi, this is. I'm just kidding.
Getting ready to be ready to be ready, right? It's gonna be perfect.
Well, what do I do with? Honestly, a lot. Do you know how many planners I own?
You're that person.
Girl, I have planners in all sizes, in different modalities. I have one on my iPad that, I was like, well, if I do it this way, every year I buy a new one. Sometimes I buy two, and I have the stickers and all the embellishments, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna, I blame it on my ADHD. I really don't know what it is. I don't know.
What is it about the planner that makes you comfortable?
Nothing. I've realized because I don't use it anyways.
Yeah.
I don't use it. The one that I think lasted me the longest was my iPad because I'll lose things a lot really fast. So like, ask me where my planners are. I have no idea. But my iPad, I'm not gonna lose because it's $1,300 iPad. So I have this planner on there that I'll take that I use, and so I'll take it with to meetings and like the papers that they give us. I take pictures of it. I can upload it and I can write on it. So it's almost like writing on paper, except for it's there. Um, it doesn't work because it's not as organized as I need it to be, or again, an excuse. I'll lose it. Like I do this thing where it's like it makes sense today on Friday to put all of this in the folder that says meeting notes, right? But then tomorrow it'll make more sense to put it in tasks.
Yeah.
Right? And so then the next day it's like, well, let me just open up a page. And so when I want to go back to, I'm like, well, where did I put it?
Yeah.
They put it in meeting notes task, and it's like in a random page somewhere.
Your subconscious knows that you're doing that.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, why keep doing it, right? It's keeping you comfortable. And obviously,
well, I feel like I just change my mind changes itself a lot. I change my mind a lot. Like I just because again, one day it's the way that it makes sense in my brain, right? One day it's in meeting notes, another day it's in tasks, another day it's in projects. So it's kind of like I'll never find it again.
Hold on, before we finish, I want you to move that microphone because you are hitting it a lot. Get right in the middle. Yeah. So my question to you is, what? I have so many questions. So, what inspires you to keep purchasing these things, right? So it's
maybe this time it'll hit.
Okay, so maybe this time I'll use it. What do you?
No, I use it. I don't ever use it effectively, and so then I lose interest really fast because I can't find the fucking meeting note that I was looking for.
So you believe that there's like an effective way to use a planner?
Yes.
What do you think that way is?
When I'm looking for my meeting notes, I need to find them. I think it just
That's the
gives
only
me
thing that you want to plan is your meeting notes.
now.
Like meeting notes are their own thing. You could just make a fucking Google Doc. Like you could, there's a lot of ways that you could put notes into something.
Okay.
You have notes taker on your phone, right? Like a planner to me is like, here are days. There's a calendar involved. You know, there's ways to organize certain things, right? There might be like numbers on it. There might be topics on it, right? So that you can like organize and categorize what you're doing, right?
So my
like,
my the one, let's use the one on my iPad. It has all the days. It's a really good planner. Like it's a really good fucking planner in the sense that it has all of the months. And then if you want the daily, right? I only use the monthly view. So those boxes need to be big enough for me to write inside of them because I'll never use the daily because that just seems like it's way too much work. And then on top of that, it has a little section for like your vision board. It has so that you can like
do you know, make a vision board?
Have I made one? I've never made a vision board. I don't know how.
It has a section for a vision board. I've never made one.
What is my vision?
And that's the bigger question.
Yeah.
Right? I think the point is like, what are you planning for?
Maybe that's what it is, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, if there's nothing to plan for, like if there is no plan, so that's the first piece, right?
Well, let me tell you something else. Okay, so you know how I'm going on vacation, and we just finalized our itinerary. And so now that I know the itinerary, I am able to plan my outfits for every day.
Okay.
And so I've done this before where I have a beautiful planner on in my journal. And instead of using the journal, I will draw out a planner on my notes page and then write.
The avoidance is so real. so intense. That's wild to me. I love this about you, first of all.
That I avoid things?
No, that you will plan and you're meticulous. Like we talked about like being an expert.
I go down to underwear.
You're very, very analytical and you break things down, you know, which is I love it. Like that makes me feel comfortable. And that's a separate topic for another day. However, I think that if you're doing that and it's not then serving a bigger purpose, then like now that's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right now I'm taking time to be meticulous and to be more particular so that I can waste my time so that I don't actually have to get to what the thing is that I need to do, which is fucking plan for the trip.
Well, I think that you hit it where it was like, what are you planning for? And I think that for so long, and you know this, and maybe we can talk about it another day. My life has just been so up in the air. Just everything about my life, like everything. What I'm doing with my life, where my relationship is going, where my career is going, everything has just been so up in the air that again, what is it? Have do be. That's where I live, where it's like once I can do this part, once my relationship is stable, then once I can, like, there was never any family planning, there was never any real career planning, like what's the next move. Even now it's like, what's the next move, like it's all just, I'm just waiting for something. And that's what I just feel like. I feel like I'm in a state of waiting all the time for something to happen. But I'm quickly realizing that nothing's gonna happen if I don't do it.
Well, it's interesting. You're like, I'm in a constant state of waiting, right? Like waiting to do something, waiting to plan something. Like I'm going to buy the planners because, at some point I'll have something to plan for.
Or I think that maybe if I buy a planner, it'll help me plan for something, but there's nothing to plan for.
Sure.
Because I'm waiting for something to happen.
Sure. Well, and again, just like you hit the nail on the head with like have to be mindset, right? If I have something to plan for, then I will plan for it and then I will be happy and then I will have my shit together. I will, be prepared. And let's talk about the opposite side of that, right? So you have do be, and the reverse of that is be do have. Not exactly in wording in the coaching realm. That's the flip side, right? And be do have talks about and promotes the idea of, if I worry about how I be, if I worry about how I show up, if I worry about how I'm being, right? We're human beings, not human doings. So it's not about what we're doing, it's about how we're being. If I worry about how I'm being.
Human being, not human doing.
It's a good one, right?
That's a great one.
Good one. Yeah, I got to thank Tim O'Kelly for that one from PSI. He's awesome. And so if you're, a human being and you focus on your being, right? Your beingness, how are you being today? Right? Like I'm being happy, I'm being open, I'm being spontaneous. We can control how we're being. We really can.
Okay.
It's a choice, right? It's a false belief to say I've got to have something to, be some way. Like I've got to have money to be happy. Do you really have to have money to be happy? Money has a capacity to make
It
you happy.
helps.
It definitely helps, right? However, it's not the only thing that can make one happy. So when we say I have to have money to be happy, now I've limited my capacity to be happy only when, I'm only able to be happy when I have money.
Yeah.
Now I've limited all the other ways that I can allow happiness into my life, right?
Mm.
And you wonder why there's no plan there, because it's so particular. It's like, if I have something to plan, I'll be prepared, really is the statement that you're making with buying all these planners, right?
Yeah.
If I have something to plan, then I'll, I mean, even you can even flip it. If I'm prepared, then I'll have something to plan for.
Mm.
It's like if I have all these things, then when I've got this thing that I'm gonna do, finally, when I finally choose the fuck I want to do, then I'll be ready.
Well, because that's where I'm at, where it's like now that I know my itinerary, and going back to the vacation, now that I know my itinerary, I'm now able to plan outfits. Whereas like before I was stuck. I was like, well, I don't even know what the fuck I'm gonna wear. And I can't go shopping because I don't know what we're doing. Because what if I go shopping for this and then we do that? Like, does that make sense? But now that I know what the itinerary is, now I can plan it. Now I can plan the outfits.
What would it look like if you didn't bring any clothes with you and you bought all your clothes there?
I would freeze my ass off.
Like, I mean, obviously clothes on your back, right?
Oh, okay.
However, you know what I mean? Like,
that would be
really,
much better
now you
because
don't
I
have to
know.
plan.
Because it's like okay, um,
Now let's talk about that, right? So now the focus, right? So instead of saying, I'm going to plan every outfit and I'm going to be prepared. And in order to plan every outfit, I need to know first all
mm-hmm,
the things that we're doing, right?
mm-hmm.
Here's how I'm comfortable. I'm going to know everything that's going on and then I'm going to be overly prepared, right? If you shift into be do have here of I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be spontaneous. And you commit to those beingness,
Right.
right? Those beings, the way of being. Now you can say, no matter what I plan, I can always buy something. Because here's the thing. If you plan every single thing you do to the hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? You leave yourself no room to experience anything else.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I'm going to go, on this trip and I'm not going to plan everything out, I'm going to leave time open.
Mm-hmm.
Now that time open could be used to buy the things that you didn't bring.
Mm.
So notice how you by alleviating, right? By letting go of the constant planning, by letting go of this constantly, I have to have this to have this to have this, and just say, I'm just gonna be fucking happy and be spontaneous while I'm there. You allow yourself to figure out what it is that you actually want and what it is that you actually need. Because maybe you don't need everything that you pack.
Yeah.
Maybe you get there and you see something and you're like, damn, I really want that. Now you don't even have the space in your backpack or
Mm-hmm.
your suitcase to bring it home. So now you've limited your capacity to even buy something new.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to give up a piece of clothing to buy something new, which that's a whole nother point. I think that's actually a healthy practice. However,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
there's
And I'm
other
an
ways of being.
overpacker. I'm gonna try that this trip where I'm because right now we have like what we have is like the one big thing we might do that day, right?
Sure.
And we bought we're going for 7 days. I think we have like four things actually like planned and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
No, two things. Two things planned and paid. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. The point is that there's ideas for every day. Like we could do this, like one major thing a day, and then the rest of the day is exploring. And so what I would do is I would plan two outfits per day,
Why
just
two?
in case.
So
Well,
just in case
one big
doesn't.
outfit for what we're doing, and then one other outfit for just in case I need another outfit that day,
For what?
just in case,
Okay.
right? So now, if I'm doing this being spontaneous thing, which
Mm-hmm.
let's be real, Wendy's not spontaneous. I can be. Snowboarding was
She can
spontaneous.
be. Wendy can be anything. This is so notice how your brain goes there, right? Like it's like I'm not this. Focus on the beingness of what that is. Spontaneous. You can be it, right? It's very
Hmm.
simple. It's very simple to just choose spontaneity. And your choices choose that, right? Today I'm not going to plan my day. What am I going to do? You know, when we go, I'm not going to
See,
plan
that
what I'm
today,
going to
that
do.
to me is being lazy.
If you choose laziness when you have an opportunity to be spontaneous, that's your choice. You can absolutely choose laziness. And a lot of people do that. They have opportunities within their day where they don't plan anything and they choose to just be lazy and sit around. If that's what you do all the time, that's not spontaneous. Now, for someone who is constantly planning, and this is something I work with my clients on, especially my high, especially my high ticket clients who make a lot of money, right? Clients who have a lot on their plate, run multiple businesses, you know, have family, have to run the family. The list goes on of all the shit that they do during
Yeah.
the day, right? It could be very spontaneous for them to be lazy, right? And to take a day
Hmm.
off. That could be spontaneous for them.
Got it.
Depends on the person, right? So again, I think the
Okay.
choice is laziness. That choice could also be spontaneous. If that's what you do all the time, though, that's not
Yeah.
spontaneous. That's your choice still. Now, again, choosing spontaneity would look like not planning for you and just deciding the day of what you're going to do.
It's funny because I'm on vacation, but my whole day is planned. My whole weekend is planned.
Of course it is. Of course it is, because that makes you feel comfortable.
And then there's this thing that hovers over my head when there's things that I cannot control,
Mm,
like what's happening, for example, New Year's. Like, I
mm,
don't know. Like, when I have to depend on other people,
mm,
it's like a dark cloud that just hovers because I can't
mm.
completely plan it because I have to depend on other people.
Yeah, it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Anyways, spontaneity.
We'll talk about that in another another day. I mean, and maybe today is the day to do it. You know, to go into like why planning
Well, we're talking about
everything makes you
resolutions,
comfortable.
but really quick before I ask you for
Sure.
your New Year's resolution or not resolution or whatever you're planning for the new year. Um, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to just pack maybe the one outfit instead of the two, and then figure out from there how to survive.
Can I challenge you on something?
Okay.
Shift the word try to the statement I'm going to commit to.
Okay. I'm gonna commit to packing one outfit. I'm going for 7 days. I'm gonna pack 7 outfits, six
Okay.
outfits, seven.
So
Seven.
to
7 outfits.
you're committed to packing 7 outfits. Okay.
Nothing extra.
For how many days?
7.
Beautiful. I love this for you. I do. I do, because now you actually get to like see what you want. You just gave yourself, if this is really what you are committed to and you really follow through with this, because that's a whole nother point, right? We
Mhm.
give commitments when we're not going to commit.
Does that mean 7 underwear?
Yeah.
This is
There.
a stress reaction.
So where are you going to again? You're going to
Chicago and then New York.
Does Chicago have wherever you buy underwear? I'm certain that they do.
Okay.
I'm certain that you will be able to find more underwear there.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know, you're like, and this goes to the point of you just gave yourself permission to actually buy something new for yourself.
From Chicago.
So
Okay.
notice how freeing that just became, right? It was like, I'm gonna plan everything out, and I have all this stress about, you know, is it all gonna be perfect?
How did you finish a cup of water already?
I told you. I'm like, I have 2 cups of water here today. We were unable to find like a big pitcher that was clean, and we're in a tight crunch today. So I got 2 cups of water, and yes, I do like to drink a
I
lot of
haven't
water.
seen you drink water once, and the cup is gone. Okay. Okay.
The intention is to put the water in my body, and it just goes there. I'm that powerful.
She's a witch.
I might be. So what I was saying is, you know, look at how freeing you felt, and you could just see like your body shift of, and it was uncertain. It was interesting to watch because there was definitely an uncertainty and like, but also excitement there. of like, I get to now potentially buy myself new clothes from a new place if I
Yeah.
need them.
Yeah.
And you also have the space to bring them back,
Yeah. Okay.
you
Because
know?
that's something I've been stressed about is that I don't have enough warm clothes.
Okay, buy some when you get there.
Yeah.
No better place to buy warm clothes than in a cold
Cold. Yeah.
place.
Because I'm like, where am I gonna
Where are
buy
you going to
it?
get something, you know, for cold weather in California? I mean, there's places. However, you know, you're going to find a lot more of a variety there, you know.
Yeah.
So Tim, another thing that he talks about, a story that he talks about
That
is
makes
like
so much sense.
he
Uh-huh.
loves to go. I remember the story that he used where he loves to go to he loves to go places and not book any stay,
Mm-hmm.
and he finds out from the locals where to stay.
Yeah.
Right? How uncomfortable does that make you when he said when
Jesus
he told that story?
Christ.
Yeah, and me too a little bit. You know, where I was like, oh my god, could you imagine? And at the same time, like it's a really freeing thing, and it allows you to have, I mean, it allows you so much more capacity for spontaneity, so much more
Mm-hmm.
capacity for really like following, you know, where your intuition leads you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so that going back to the resolution piece, I don't I'm not going to make New Year's resolutions anymore because of that idea of like there's no reason that it needs to be a resolution all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
if it needs to be a resolution, it's needed to be a resolution for a while, for me at
Mm-hmm.
least. Something that that I've seen a few people do is like choose a word for the year,
Mm.
and that's what you're going to commit to,
Mm.
right? And so any action that you make will commit to that word.
You
You're
know what, my
welcoming that word
sister,
in.
my sister, she said something that really like I was like, oh my gosh, she's such a grown up. Um, she's like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do grown up things, and I'm thinking like she's gonna clean her room or she's gonna whatever, right? Oh my gosh, what are you gonna do? And she was like, well, I feel, and her comment was, I don't know if we did resolutions last year. I actually don't know what we did. But she was like, I feel like I didn't set goals for the year, so she doesn't have like anything to. She's like, I don't know what the fuck I did this year,
Mm,
So I'm just gonna go. I don't know if I don't think she said vision board. She just kind of talked about how she's gonna go make some goals.
mhm,
So kind of like a checkpoint at the end of the year, like these are my goals or these are the goals that I wanted to. But
mm,
it wasn't like a resolution because we did at Christmas we did talk a little bit about resolution, and a lot of it, some of them were really interesting, but a lot of them were saving money, which I think is always a big one. Who was it? Somebody said waking up earlier, which I thought was a really good one. I don't know. There was some good ones. Most of us just stuck to the um saving money, but her thing was like I'm gonna go make some goals for the year. And eventually, like, I guess, and we go back to what you're talking about setting intentions for your goals. So I can make goals like this is what I want. I also, like, some people are like, make 10-year goals. I think I have that paper somewhere. I don't ever want to find it because I don't want to know what was on there, because maybe I do. I
I think
don't.
you might. I think you might, because I think you'd be surprised at what the power of
Well, the
that
10
was.
years is coming up, or actually the 10 years probably was this year. And I know I had talked about having a family, and I don't know what, and I don't know what, and I'm just so far away from that.
So I want to talk about that, right? Um, I think it's really beautiful to look back at things, and I've also some people will like write down what they want in the year, you know, or how they see themselves in a year. There was a event that I was at, conference that I was at, and a speaker. This guy was amazing. He's like, his process was called Kalego. It was like a combination of his name, which is Kyle, I think, and somebody else's name. And he talks about, you know, every time he wants to manifest something, and he actually practices this daily, that he talks about it in the future, you know, future tense, and like as if it's already happened, you know. So I'd be talking to you and I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my god, Wendy, remember last year we had just started our podcast, and now look at it, it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
over 100 million views, or what, you know what I mean?
I've been doing that with a podcast a lot.
So, and speaking of, literally speaking about it as if it has already happened, with excitement, with energy, with that feeling. And and you know, I mean, it's a beautiful practice,
Yeah.
right? So I think there's a lot of power in words and saying things out loud. We talk about, you know, I'm going to get a little sciencey here. We talk about the vibration of things, right? And everything having a vibration, and waves, and sound waves actually move matter. That's why when a big sub or a big speaker is playing music, you can actually feel it
Yeah.
through certain things, right? It moves matters. When we speak it into existence, it actually moves the matter,
Okay.
right? So what more powerful way to get something than to speak about it, or what more
That's
powerful
cool.
way to manifest than to say it, right?
Yeah.
Which is why affirmations are so important, which is why I like this new singer that I just found,
Mhm. Mhm.
Shannon. Gosh, I can't remember her last name now. Shannon something. Anyway, she's amazing with affirmations, and so it's like,
Yeah.
because what she's the power is like she sings it and then you learn the words to her song, and so
Mhm.
now you're singing affirmations every time you listen to her song. There's so
Mhm.
much power in that, right? And so yeah, I mean, that piece of speaking it out loud is important, so with resolutions, going back to resolutions, I think speaking, doing that process versus writing down, for me, seems
Mhm.
more powerful. Writing
Mhm.
is as much a powerful process, because you have to claim it, right? In order
Mhm.
to write it, you're really claiming it, and to see the words be written
Mhm.
is powerful, and you can keep that for later. So a lot of people
Mhm.
will write, where they see themselves in a year. And I did that a few years ago with PSI, with basic. That was something
Mhm.
that I did, or at one of their courses, and I looked back at it and it was like Nico, like my boyfriend, like literally talked about the relationship I wanted with him. And I have that now,
Oh.
so it's really cool. And it didn't come, I don't think, within the year. I think it was a few years. However, it still
Mhm.
came, So again, it's like allowing yourself to dream, A, by just doing that. And B, you keep something for yourself to look back on. So I think you should find that thing, that'd be cool to see, because
Mhm.
you had said, and what had triggered me saying this is you had said, in 10 years you had seen yourself having a family. You do have a family now. You do have a stronger bond with your family. You have
Mm.
a friend group that is like family now.
That's true.
You have work family now that you didn't have them. So like you have this thing. You can see it as like, your concept of it was like, well, I wanted children and this and that. However,
It would be interesting to see what family meant, or in what way I put family.
sure.
And again, I guess, and this is definitely a conversation for another time, but it just goes back to our culture or society, and just how they define the word family, or just
Yeah.
different things in our, in, like,
Yeah.
just how it's supposed to go, where it's like, I remember the first time that I thought to myself, I could just get up and go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I could leave everything. I mean, it's the wildest thought I think I've ever had in my whole life.
How freeing.
But I remember thinking, like, and I could honestly, like, whenever I think about it, I could visibly see this like bubble burst, where it was like, if I wanted to, I could go to Hawaii
Yeah.
today and live there.
Yeah.
How I would live there, I don't know,
Who cares?
but I could do it,
Yeah.
right? Whereas, like, even before that, it wasn't even a thought that I was allowed to have.
Sure.
Like, you are here, you stay here, your family is here, everything that you need is here, 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 here. Don't ever dare think about leaving. How would you leave your family? But then I remember one day thinking, like, if I really wanted to, I really could do that. Like, I could really just up and go.
It's amazing what guilt does, because it's a guilt thing.
Sure.
That whole way of thinking, and some
And
of the
again, it's our
statements that
it's
you
our
made is
it's our
guilt.
culture and stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
like, I remember that thought. I remember having that thought, and I remember thinking, "Oh shit! Like, what other thoughts have I not had, or have I not
Yeah.
allowed myself to have?"
That's powerful. It's
You
a really
know.
powerful experience that you're describing.
So that's definitely. I think that shortly after that, I met you, which is crazy.
Funny how that works.
'Cause that's been amazing. Um, but have you thought about your word for the year? Do you have ideas?
I have a few. I I guess we'll talk them out because I think this is a good. I mean, we're approaching.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
Year's is in
yeah.
what, 2 days. I think liberated is one I've thought about.
Okay. Liberated.
Liberated, being
I've always
free.
seen you as a free person.
I think that, yes, I make a lot of free choices externally. I mean, I moved
Ah,
cross country when I
ah.
was younger. I got married when I was young. I decided to go to a college to play volleyball, which is a very freeing experience, right? I've moved jobs now. I just when I'm over it, I leave, so I make freeing decisions.
You also got divorced.
I got divorced. I mean, and the divorce was hard for me. I mean,
I
it
know.
took me years, it took me 5 years to really, I was unhappy for 5 years. So I think I make freeing choices. I don't think I'm free from my own self, if that makes sense. So I'm in my head a lot. Uh, I overthink a lot. I question myself a lot. I have a lot of limiting beliefs of myself that keep me small. So even though I make moves maybe more so than most people, um, I still feel small.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it doesn't seem big,
Mm-hmm.
where other people would look at me and be like, yeah, you wrote a book and you started a business. And
Mm-hmm.
just in the last year, I was thinking back, I was like, oh my God, like I've done a lot,
Mm-hmm.
went to Europe for almost a month, wrote a book, scaled my business, had my first 5-figure month, so there was like a lot that happened this last year. Went and finished another course with PSI, started PLD. I've done 2 courses with PSI. I've invested almost $10,000 in maybe more in self empowerment and self investment this year, and completed those courses. So there's so much that I've done, yet I still feel this big sometimes,
Mm.
you know and then that prevents me from like scaling my business and making more money and doing a lot of things. So I think liberated is like liberated from myself,
Mm.
liberated from my own programming. Well, I guess you can't ever really be, ex, you know, detached from your programming. However, liberated from its hold on me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've also thought about spontaneous. We talked about that for you. I could use a lot more spontaneity in my life. I'm also a planner. So I think, anytime, if you're a planner, if you're someone who, is comfortable um, being the one in charge, uh, you know, I challenge you to choose spontaneous if you choose a word, because it allows you to, it gives you permission really to like go do what you want to do, and also give yourself space, because I think that's the biggest thing, is that us over planners, the one thing that we really don't have is time, because we plan everything. So even our time off is planned, just like you said, right? Um, yeah, I think those would be the 2 words for me.
Liberated and spontaneous.
Liberated and spontaneous. I play with like fun having, like, I don't know if you can help me with a word for that. Um,
You want to have more fun?
I want to have more fun. Yeah, I'm fucking serious all the time. Like there's I have a lot of big goals, right? So there's a lot of like, I feel like I have to approach my goals from a very like authoritative way. Does that make, like, I don't know if that makes sense. From a way that is like calculated, like there is a process to get the goal that I want, or there is a process to achieve what I want to achieve. And it's like, when I've been in control of my process, that doesn't work.
Mm.
That's my failed marriage, you know. Um
Interesting.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah, I was in
interesting.
control of all of it. I was in control of everything. I was in control of money. I was in control of, where we moved, where we lived. I was in control of a lot of things.
That's exhausting.
It's fucking exhausting. Absolutely 100%. And that failed. Look at what happened when I was in control. So um balance. That's another word I would use for this year.
Balance.
Balance. Um I've learned that it's a dance. It's not one thing. Like, balance does not look the same for me today as it looked yesterday. Balance is a constantly evolving experience for me, where some days the balance is taking time off, some days the balance is getting shit done. Some days the balance is like, if I'm on vacation, per se, some days the balance is like not overeating so that I feel like shit the next day so I
Yeah.
can travel more, right? Or not getting too much sun, right? Like the balance looks different every day. Um, and that's something that I have worked on within my journey with sobriety is balance. We've talked about that a lot. What does it look like to be sober? What does it look like to not be sober? And do both of those versions of Ashlee deserve to show up to the party sometimes?
Yeah.
You know, and honoring both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
Honoring both sides of yourself, honoring the lazy and the overachiever, right? Like they both
Yeah.
get to have space in your day sometimes. They should have space in the same day
I feel
sometimes.
like the days that you are not booked out are the days I see you smile more.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you're doing fun things, like, I got to do this, I got to do this, and at this time, and at this, and at this. And it's not that, the stuff that you're doing is taking away your fun. I think it's more of like you go into this mode when you have things to do, because you're also very good at, honoring the time that you're supposed to be there, and all these things, which is awesome. But I think that it puts you in that space of like, it's almost like tunnel vision. Like you're just so here that there's nothing around you to enjoy or to see or to, so whereas like I'm the opposite. Like I'm trying. That's something I'm working on. But you know me, I got something here. I'm a big planner, like, but it's not
Big
down to
planner
the
never on time.
big planner, never on time, but I'll do the things.
You do the things.
Um, so just kind of like taking of each other, where it's like, okay, because if I have a full day, I'm just like, la da 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 da, I have a full day. And you're like, I have a full day.
Yeah, and I think it's the seriousness. Like that's where I was going with the whole being serious thing. I think they're just twofold. I grew up with business owners, right? So like
Yeah.
my dad, although he never owned the business, started the business with my grandfather. I saw my grandfather run the business. My grandmother now runs the business. My whole family's been in business, and so it was always like, when I went and saw my grandfather, it's like we called him Poppy. That like Poppy's only got so much time, and like you can come in and come out, and he's don't ask him this and don't say this, and like don't bother him. And so there was very much like always having to be perfect when I was around family, and like that's how I had to show up even to like events, like I
Yeah.
always had to be the adult. And then there's the other piece of any children that go through trauma, especially trauma where you have to be the adult, because there's neglect, that there's that piece of it, where it's like I had to adult from a very young age, and that created safety for me because I wasn't seeing that from the adults in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you have a parent that's getting high all the time and they're, asleep, or they're not around because they're off getting high, or they're off
Mm-hmm.
drinking, or they're
Mm-hmm.
not present and they're not conscious with you, right? Or conscious of what's going on around you, or, they're getting beat. My mom was in a domestic violence situation for a long time. So she was unable to even keep herself safe,
Yeah.
right? So watching that and being a part of it, it's like creates this, need for you to figure out how you can protect yourself constantly. And so what I found when I was younger is that the way to get out of the house was to go do a million things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I go play soccer, and if I go play volleyball, and if I go and get, become a part of this club and do this, and I can get out of the house and get away from the abuse, I can get away from the neglect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I've worked on in therapy for a long time. And it's hard sometimes because now I'm safe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's like, Ashlee, you're safe. Maybe that'll be a good
Mm.
word,
Safe.
safe. Like really
Mm-hmm.
feeling safe in my relationship, feeling safe in my capacity to, do the things that I want to do in my business. That's a
Trust.
good word. Trust is a good one. I feel like it's overplayed. And I feel like it's something I've been working on for a long time. You know,
Well,
I feel like that
buckle
was,
down, and this is the year.
yeah, that could be it. Could be
Trust that you're
trusting,
safe.
trust that I'm safe, trust that I'll, find balance. Trust, maybe trust is the word. Trust God. Let go, let God. Great AA statement. If I'm Brittany has it tattooed on her arms.
Jesus. Okay. So this podcast.
What would your word be? I want to know what your word would be. If you had to choose a word. Like a resolution. What's your word?
Mm. I don't know. I know that my ultimate goal is happiness. I've been so unhappy for so long. I remember when I moved in here, one of the first nights that I'm not going to get emotional.
Maybe you should.
But one of the first nights that, I was here and it was silent, like I felt peace. A peace that I had never felt ever. I'm 32 years old, and it was like also guilt, because the idea that nobody knew where I was, nobody knew what I was doing, nobody knew anything about me. Therefore, nobody needed me. Nobody was asking of me. No one was demanding where I was, what I was doing, who I was with, what was I going to do next. It was just silence, and it was peace. And I was like, oh,
fuck. Now what? So maybe peace.
Peace.
Peace may be a good word for you.
I continue to put myself into situations that take my peace, but I know that I am putting myself in these situations. I don't choose myself a lot. I don't choose myself because I don't know how. I've never chosen myself. Yeah. I've always chosen others.
And choosing yourself, choice, right? Choosing yourself is very simply a choice. The hard part of choosing yourself is the build up to, when I choose myself, what would that look like? We create these stories in our head, of like, well, if I choose myself, then they'll hate me. And they won't invite me anymore. Then
I'll lose people.
I'll lose them. I'll be lonely. Yeah.
So
it's not the actual it's not the actual choice. It's the ramifications of the choice that prevent us from choosing ourselves. And all of these ramifications are all predictions of the future. None of them may come true. There's no being present in not choosing yourself for that reason. And choosing yourself, I think the biggest choosing yourself statement is saying no. Like just starting to say no to things.
Yeah.
When someone calls you and says, "Hey, can you?" No, I'm sorry, I cannot. Can you come?
Yeah. Well, I'm
can
getting
you do this. Can you do that? No, I can't.
That one I'm getting good at. I also feel like people have stopped asking of me so much, because they understand. They understand the space that I'm in, but it's big picture items that I'm dealing with right now.
Give me an example.
Trying to give you an example that won't get me in trouble.
Wendy has some secrets. Just a few.
I'll give you an example later. But
so let's reframe, because maybe it doesn't need to be a big example. You're saying like big picture items. What do you mean by big picture? Like
long-term
commitments. Long-term commitments. Living situation.
Let's do that one. Let's do that one. My parents just bought a house. They want me to go live over there. And again, I go back to the silence. If I live over there, there's no longer silence. Plus, it's really far. And they've given me another option that will not just benefit me, but will also benefit my siblings, But again, it's that part of like, I won't be free. I won't be free. Someone will know where I'm at. Someone will, and I don't know what that is. And I see it more and more now, where it's like, I refuse to share my location with anyone. I think Mercy's the only one that has it, because she's the only one I trust to not abuse it. When I was going,
that's the thing. You actually share your location with your family?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Did you ever do that?
For me, it was like, that we had the cameras in the house. you know? And so it was like, if a camera was ever off, why is it off?
Mm.
You know, type thing, you know, where
Jesus.
things like that, you know? And then,
Prison.
and then the neighbor where I lived, she got a Ring doorbell. And not to check on me or anything, but oh my God, it stressed me out. I never use the front door anymore. I always came in through the back door.
Well, we have a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, but it's Samara. You know, Samara, it does not give two shits when I'm coming home. She is not trying to figure out what I'm doing. Yeah. And it's that piece of it where it's like, there's certain people, like I said, Mercy has my location in case I get got one day, she can find my body. You know?
God. I
don't know.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Like, but again, the only one I trust, because I know that she's not, where is she? Where is she? What is she doing? Where, you know? So like, I can be anywhere, and she's not gonna call me to be like, well, why are you here? You know, whereas the other one, she knows who she is, will call me and be like, Dan. And she'll ask me like, well, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'll be like, oh my God, you know, like, so I have a big issue with cameras too. Like, this house, for whatever reason, like, I don't feel it.
Well, because there's no investment in what happens, you know, here with the camera. Like, I know we have a camera. I believe we have a camera in the living room. You know, that's there. I don't even know if it's turned on. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Nico have done dirty things in parts of the house when no one's here. Sorry, Samara. So, you know, I'm sure if she wanted to pull that that footage, she could. You know, like it.
But you know that she won't, because
I know she won't.
There's no,
100%.
That's not who she is.
Sure.
Whereas like, I don't know if, I honestly could not begin to tell you if I have anyone's location, because I don't give a fuck to check. Like, I don't, it's not my nature to be like, well, where are you? What are you doing? Because I just also feel that brings judgment. 100%. That, you know, like for example, the Ring doorbell, you know, we were coming home drunk, and it's like, I don't want my neighbors knowing that I'm coming home drunk. You know, and the Ring doorbell will notify them. But also on the other hand, you know, when a few weeks ago, someone had gone into the house, and we were able to check who it was. We asked the neighbors, you know. So there's that thing where it goes back and forth. I think that it in this house, it's Samara's house. She has the right to have her Ring doorbell. You know, this is her house. Sure. You know. If I ever owned a home like this, when I own a home like this,
I love that reframe. Thank you.
I will have a Ring doorbell, you know, because I want to make sure that my packages are safe or whatever, you know, but it's my home.
Well, yeah, I think what you're saying is that there's no judgment.
The invasion of privacy of
there's
it all.
There's no judgment. Well, and your privacy is still potentially invaded with the Ring doorbell here, because Samara can see you coming in and out. However, there's no judgment on it. You know, it's not about the being watched. It's about what are your feelings then after that, right? So I think it goes back to trusting the people that have the capacity to see you, or that have that
well,
that
because
footage.
And I'm going to tell you, like, I also grew up with like a big family, you know. And so if I ever wanted McDonald's, I could never just bring McDonald's for myself. I had to bring McDonald's for everyone.
Well, that's a whole other
so
point. Look at the guilt, man. It's intense.
So I would have to eat the McDonald's. I had to eat the McDonald's in my car before I got home, right? And so it's that whole thing of like, you know, can I go here? I want to be able to go wherever the fuck I want to go, and nobody know and judge. Yeah, like you said, judge or like check up on me, or like, well, why are you here? What did you do here? And it's like, well, I don't know what the fuck I did there. I just wanted to go.
There's expectation too, you know, like what you were just talking about with the McDonald's thing. Like what that creates is it creates this it degrades the identity, right? So it's like Wendy is not Wendy because Wendy now has to take care of everybody. It's actually like giving you this like caretaker, you know, status. It's like you have to take care of everyone around you at all times. You can't get fucking McDonald's, you know, like
that. And
intense.
Living here is something that really like the first few times that I bought food, that I got food delivered, I would like track it to make sure that I grabbed it before anybody saw that I grabbed it, because I didn't offer anything to anyone else.
That's what a life to live. You know, that's hard. That's intense, friend. I had no idea. Well, and it's great how much we're learning, you know, about each other, just talking about this stuff. And I mean, the last as you've been doing
Or like
self-empowerment work.
when I left for the weekend, or I was gone for like 2 3 days, I remember coming back into the house and like running right into my room because I thought I was gonna get in trouble. Like, well, where have you been for the
What?
last 3 days?
What?
Yeah, I did that for a while, and then I remember one time talking to
Is
Samara
that why
about it.
you would stay in your room? I would always wonder. I'd be like, "What's she doing in there? Like, why is she?
I was hoping I
When
didn't
are
get
you
in
home?
trouble.
Who gives a shit where
Well,
you've been?"
again, that's just what my life has been, you
Sure,
know?
sure. It's intense. It's a lack of freedom.
A lack of
You're
peace.
operating from a lack of peace and lack of freedom. I think liberated would be a good word for you. I think peace would be a good word for you. However, I think
And don't get me
liberated.
wrong, like I love my family. You know this.
Oh,
More than anything in the world.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that I realized that every single fucking move that I have made in my life has been for my sisters.
100%.
Every
I
move I've
agree.
made,
Mm-hmm.
you know, down to the way that I got married,
Yeah.
you know, everything for them to be like, yeah, I'm never doing it that way. Oh my God.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. That's a fun reaction.
Yeah, Dan was like, yeah, I'm never doing it that way. And I was like, well, fuck me. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh my
That one
God.
was like, that one was a hard pill to
That's
swallow.
intense. I had no
It
idea.
still hits me every now and then. But it made me realize that the way that I did it is so that they could learn on, you know, maybe it's to learn the way not to do it. You know, for so long I was like, I'm gonna do it this way so that they can see the right way to go.
This is a
And
parent's
now,
like you have so much parenting knowledge. So this whole like I'm gonna have a family is like you already fucking have been a mom, dude. Like you've already parented. Like I think about um my mom, you know, and my dad, you know, and looking at some of the mistakes they've made, as do all parents, you know, and part of the flex for myself, I think of like learning more about myself and with through therapy and things like that is like realizing that a lot of what they did, you know, I looked at and said, I will never do that. And I can tell you that everything I said I would never do that my mom did, I did anyway. So, you know, it's like
yeah,
it's you see what they do. And I think
is what you know.
it's what it is, it's what you know, and
It
like
took me having to realize like
it's
you're their
tough.
sister, not their
Yes. Well, because
mother.
you were asked to be their mother. You were.
And so it's like it's just trying to detach myself of that, because even now, like a lot of the things, it's very it's not our culture. A lot of the things that, for example, like the fact that you and I are best friends, right? um and to see the differences between us, you know, because it's like the way that you dream is so big, where that's not our
Sure.
culture,
Yeah.
you know. But I'll preach it, you know. I'll tell the
Sure.
people in my life, like, you can have nice things. Like,
Good for
it's such a
you.
Mexican mentality to live in poverty.
Mm.
Like, oh, Lord forbid you come around with a nice car. Oh, he thinks he's all that. He thinks he's the shit
The
now that he
judgment.
has a nice car, and you know, you don't want to be with us anymore. You think you're too good for us, and blah blah blah. As opposed to, you know, praising the fact that, fuck, you got a Land Rover, Range Rover. You got a Rover. Like, god damn, girl, like that's fucking awesome, you know? Like, the differences between that, you know, to see, um and then you just make that decision where it's like, how do I want to live? Do I want to live in this space of, you know, always criticizing and always, because that's what we fucking do. That's what our culture does. Hispanic culture is a lot about criticizing, and honestly, I think it's jealousy. You know, it stems from that space. We also don't have we also, I mean, granted, we have to work 3 times as hard as, you know, someone as a white person to get anything. But fuck, that's the card that you were given. So what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna sit there, you're gonna cry about it, or are you gonna sit there and be about it?
Yeah.
You know. And so to see you quit your job, I could never. Maybe I could now that I've seen you do it successfully.
Do whatever you want.
You know, but that's just it. Is that, you know, when I was growing up, I was given 3 options. You are a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer.
Sure.
I wanted to be a chef, and that was a hobby.
So can I be real? Like, the reason that I chose teaching was because my dad told me the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad made being a
well, you're Italian.
My dad made being a business owner really unattractive. Like, if I'm being real.
Okay.
It was like, look at, if you get into business with your family, look at how horrible it will be. Okay. Look at how complicated it will be. you'll make this money and you'll never really be fucking happy because you're always gonna have to deal with their bullshit. And there's gonna be no safety. And he was so all over the place with that. You know what I mean? Because of that. He was like the months that it was hard to make money were obvious in my household, you know, and that stress was like palpable. I could feel it in the way that he checked out and in the way that he showed up, both ways. So then when he was like, how, you know, go be a teacher, you're going to have benefits and you're going to have pension, you're going to have safety. I was like, yes. And I was fucking miserable. So I was, you know, there wasn't a requirement. It wasn't like I had to do something. However, there was still that energy of like, don't do this. And he didn't even know that he was, you know, kind of saying that to me.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. That's what we got for episode 2. We're going to leave you with that. And we just wanted to do a quick shout out to everybody that viewed our first episode. We were over 120 views. Last time I looked, and that was last week. So I don't even know what it looks like now. And quite a few follows and quite a few likes. So thank you guys to those of you that, you know, took the time out and listened to us banter.
Yes. We've had so much fun. We're so excited. There's this, you know, fire and passion and energy.
Passion, more energy.
And so, but follow us on all the things. Again, we have a handle now.
We have a handle.
Live_in the Hive. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube.
TikTok coming soon.
And we're gonna start posting there. And yeah, you'll see it down here, live_in the Hive. And Ashlee goes live on Mondays.
Yes.
Actual, like, real time live in the Hive.
Yes, which we're hoping we'll do at some point. You know, that's the goal, is that we can get live. We definitely need to shoot later in order to do that. So, however, you know, we have some time now on PLD, so we can get that done.
Go on Mondays, interact. She has a bunch of fun content that she talks about, and it's interactive sometimes. Yeah. You guys can work on. You'll write the first one. You guys wrote goals together. We all wrote goals together.
Yeah, we wrote a power word. I chose a power word, and gave the process for how to choose the power word if you didn't want to do it, you know, live. And then the second one, gosh, what did I even talk about in the second one? It's gonna evade me now. So the last one just shot. I actually had someone come on and go live with me. You know, a former client and you know, another PSI grad. So that was cool. You know, she wanted to come on and you know, I answered a ton of questions around purpose and around making your first steps towards movement. So I talked about my story of how I moved to California and, you know, went through a divorce and all these things, and you kind of like outlined a very short process for you guys, and some questions that you can ask yourself, you know, before you decide to make a big move. So it was good.
It's a lot more interactive.
Yes.
Here you're listening to us. We're giving you fun things to hear. Over there on Mondays at 6 p.m. you'll be able to actually talk to her and ask her questions real time, and so it's just a different vibe over there, but still all the same goal here, which is, you know, to create better selves. So thank you guys so much for listening. Again, live_in the Hive. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe, like this video, and we'll get a new one to you guys soon.
It's coming soon, so keep an eye out. We love you all, and we'll see you later.